Hi, this is Evangeline. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about dopamine levels because sometimes we go through these ebbs and flows and we wonder like what's going on. Nothing seems to excite me anymore. I don't feel motivated. I know I want to do these big things. I have these big goals. I have all these different things that I want to accomplish. But for some odd reason, I just don't feel motivated to get up to do it. I'm just always tired. It's like I can get up and get myself going. And sometimes people will attribute this to spiritual attack. So I want to look at it from another point of view. I want to turn our eyes away. I'm not saying that it's not possible that you may be under spiritual attack, which I definitely know these things can happen. But I also want to give you another option to focus on and see maybe if you could look into that and see if that's where the problem is, in order for you to get this figure out and accomplish these goals and all these great things that you want to do, but just don't feel the zeal and motivation to move forward. So I'm going to focus on dopamine just because that's one of the things that I had to deal with when it came to the experiences I was having. My brain was just oversensitive because of all the things that was going on around me. But before I get deep into explaining why I felt like that was my experience. Instead of it being a spiritual attack, I feel like dopamine imbalance was my experience. So dopamine is responsible for a lot of bodily function. It's a hormone and a neurotransmitter. It's responsible for reward and pleasure. It's responsible for movement. It's responsible for learning and attention, keeping you focused to work on your goals, and it also keeps you interested in things. But when we get to the place where our dopamine levels are imbalanced, either too high or too low, then there is a struggle. And the struggle could be lack of motivation, depression, mood swings, aggressive behavior, anxiety, and the list goes on. Like I said, it's responsible for reward and pleasure. So anything that gives you pleasure, dopamine has a say in it. For example, sex, pornography, gambling, drugs, and social media. So all these things are things that can give you reward and give you pleasure. And if you overdo any of these things, it has a way of having a negative effect on you that could lead you down the road of not being productive and doing the things that you need to do in order for you to grow, in order for you to become a better person. What I want to focus on is social media, because that was my drawback. That was my issue when it came down to depletion of my dopamine levels or keeping my dopamine levels in balance. We do know that sex and pornography, like I said, all those things are possible to affect your dopamine. But I'll speak to social media because a few years ago, I was going through this weird space. Yeah, my food habits and food choices were off as well. You can check out this video here where I talk about how raw foods saved my life. I had to fix that part as well, but I was still having these issues with the ebbs and flows and dealing with all these like low energy and things like that. And so I knew I had fixed the food, so I was trying to figure out what was going on. I didn't have a problem with pornography. I didn't have a problem with gambling, drugs, and all the other things that I previously named. But I do know that I had an issue with being on social media a lot. And that is because the business that I do calls for my presence on social media. But because you have to be on social media doesn't mean that you cannot have control on how social media intervene in your life. You can take control of that. So I want to share at the end of the video, I want to share some of the things that I had to implement in order to stay balanced and stay focused. So I'm not going through this long period of being tired, not motivated, not inspired to do the things that I need to do. Because with the business that I do, I have to be very creative. And so when I get to a place where I feel depleted when it comes to dopamine, then I don't feel creative. I feel like I'm out of this world. I feel like misplaced in a sense because I just can't think about anything creative when I'm going through those periods. So I had to put measures in place in order to correct this so I don't have to deal with this all the time. And I'll share this at the end of the video. What we don't realize is that social media can become an addiction if you're not careful. It can put you in a place where you are depleted or cause you to be anxious. My issue was sitting all day when I go there and supposed to be doing work, was just scrolling and just getting these pleasures from seeing these beautiful spaces and beautiful places. all these aesthetic videos. And as a result, when I would not get them as frequent as I would want them, then I feel like I need to do more. I need to go look for this thing. And maybe I need to go on TikTok. Maybe I need to go here. And so I was getting always trying to strive for all these hits and all these things. And it was affecting me. Because of that, my brain became hyper active and nothing was exciting anymore. I was there, keep looking for something new to excite me and give me more pleasure. But the things I was seeing, because I was seeing these things so fast, my brain was not able to catch up. So I was making my brain work more than it's supposed to work, or the type of information it's supposed to receive in a period of time. I was giving it more. As a result, it started to crash. It started to burn in terms of it was not feeling up to par with the type of information I was trying to give it as fast as I could. And as a result of that, you become depleted. And when you become depleted, you don't be inspired no more. You don't feel excited no more because, like I said, dopamine is supposed to give you excitement and pleasure. And if you're giving all these pleasure at once and there's no break in between, then you get to a place where you're depleted. You can't do anything. Nothing excites you no more. Nothing is fun anymore. And so you keep looking for more. That's just how the drug addict behaves. They take the hit, they get high, they get addicted to the drug, and then at some point, one hit not giving them the excitement they want two, they want three, they want four, and before you know it, 10 is not giving them the excitement they want anymore. It's not giving them the pleasure anymore. And so they start looking for harder drugs to use because they keep chasing that feeling. Okay. But the way you have to bring that back into balance is to stay away. And that's why when people go to rehab, they cut them off from the drug and keep them away so they can do the withdrawal, go through the withdrawal period and get all that thing out of the system so they can get back to the baseline. And this is the same thing you have to do when it comes to social media. You have to go through a dopamine detox when it comes to social media. I was on all the platforms you could think about. And of course, you want your business to grow. So you start to build accounts on all these different platforms, not knowing that this is detriment to your mental state. But when I got to this place where I realized that my food was good, I was eating healthy, what is happening? I'm working out, but what is happening here? And so I realized that my dopamine was out of control and I need to get it back under control. And so these are the things that I did in order to bring myself back to center. So the first thing I did was I deleted all the apps from my phone, every last one of them. The only thing I kept active was my Facebook business page, and also I don't consider Pinterest social media because it's like Google is like a search engine and I don't have any addiction when it comes to that. So, and also my Facebook page, I use the Meta suite, and that way I'm not using it as Facebook. It's only there to schedule content, which I do need for my business. I start using the browser on my computer. So if I wanted to put anything on Facebook, I would use the Meta suite where there's no scrolling. You don't even see other people's stuff on Meta Business Suite. And I like that because it's strictly for posting content. You only see data analytics and that's it. You don't have the option to scroll, especially if you're using the Meta businesssuite.com. You don't see all the activities going on. Of course, you will see comments on your posts and likes and stuff like that, but you don't see all the activities of people going on there. So I love that. I started using the browser to do all my upload. And then I also started to restrict the time that I would spend responding to people. So I did not want people to comment on posts that I would share for my business and I didn't say anything back. So I schedule time. And what I do on my MacBook, you can set time with your screen time and it will shut off depending on what you set it for. You can do 10 minutes. I have mine set to 15 minutes. So when I'm on the browser responding to messages or comments, it turns off if I'm going to exceed. I don't have to be in one sitting to respond to all the comments on my post. I have that 15-minute that time slot, go in there, respond to people. It cuts off, I get off. The next 15 minutes, I can do it again. And that's what I do. I don't have that access anymore on my cell phone just to pick up my phone and look. Because when you have it on your computer and you use the browser for these platforms, it's not as easier to just pick up your phone and look. It's harder. And so that's what I did. And then another thing that I also found from another YouTuber was just so my phone is not very attractive anymore, you can turn, I don't know if it does that on Android, but you can turn your phone to grayscale And to be honest with you, it works. When I first saw that, I didn't think it was going to work, but it works. So you turn your phone to grayscale through your app setting, your Apple settings, and everything on your screen becomes gray, black and white mainly. And so it's not very interesting. And when the eye sees that it's black and white, it's not interesting. It's not fun to pick up and look at. So that was another thing that kind of helped me restrict grabbing my phone. But the reflexes were still there in the beginning of this transition, where your hand will reach for your phone. That's a normal thing. But I also had my phone screen set on so I could track how I was getting better at not picking up my phone all the time. And then over time, it cut off. So that's what I did to stay in control. What I do now is on every other weekend, I avoid social media completely. And another hack that I implemented was to batch create my content. So instead of having to be on the platform every day to create, to post something new, I batch create through the Meta Suite so things can just post at certain times. And so I'm not always on there, but I still have my schedule of engagement throughout the day. And I try to do at least 2 to 3 times a day where I go in for 15 minutes, engage, respond to people, and that's it. I had to implement in order to break my addiction when it came down to social media, because I still need social media to run my business. So I had to put these measures in place in order to still be able to have a healthy relationship with the platforms that I need to run my business. So yeah, that's it. So if you enjoyed this video today, please give it a thumbs up. This helps you to share the video with more people who might be interested in topics like these. If you enjoy these type of conversations, please go ahead and subscribe. We'd love to have you here. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.